Rum, coffee, and cigarettes, the everyday drugs that powered World War II armies. World War II didn't only run on tactics and steel. It ran on exhausted bodies kept functional by a quiet system of soft drugs. Rum, coffee, cigarettes, tea, and chocolate weren't side details. They were the small rituals that kept soldiers moving when biology wanted to shut the whole war down. It's 2:47 a.m. and the war is still hungry. Not for territory, not for speeches, for hours, for nerve endings, for the last clean thought inside a skull that hasn't slept properly in days. This is the part that gets edited out of the heroic version. The part where the battlefield isn't a map, it's a body that's shaking from cold or vibrating from adrenaline, or so tired it starts seeing movement in the dark that isn't there. A body that can't stop, because stopping is when you get taken. And once you understand that, once you understand war is a haunted house built out of exhaustion, the next thing makes perfect sense. World War II ran on tiny rituals, tiny chemicals, small, legal, everyday switches that could turn a human being from finished into still functioning for a few more hours. Rum, coffee, cigarettes, tea, chocolate, beer, whatever, could keep the line moving. Not because it was fun, because it was maintenance. Now picture the war the way it actually felt most of the time. Long stretches of waiting that rot the brain, followed by short bursts of violence that demand perfect accuracy. Mud that eats boots, salt air that eats metal, cold that eats fingers, fear that eats language until men stop talking and just stare.
Is anybody there?
And here's the brutal truth. Armies don't break first from bullets. They break when the human body refuses to cooperate. So militaries didn't only issue ammunition and bandages. They issued morale. They issued stimulation. They issued calm, packaged like supplies, treated like gear, and rationed like everything else. Start with alcohol, because alcohol is the oldest anti-ghost tool humans ever invented, the oldest potion for fear, and in WWII, it wasn't just something men found in villages. In plenty of places, it was something the system managed. People love the phrase rum ration. It sounds cozy, maritime, like a tradition with a wink. But a ration is not a party. A ration is policy wearing a friendly mask. On British ships, the daily rum tot, measured, timed, watched, wasn't there to turn sailors into comedians. It was there because ritual keeps men stable when they live inside a steel coffin that creaks and groans and can turn into a burning tomb in seconds. The tot divided the day, gave shape to time, a marker that said, "You made it this far," and the chemistry did what chemistry always does. Alcohol doesn't manufacture courage, it lowers inhibition, it dulls the brain's alarm system, it sands down fear until the hands can do their job. For a moment. Then the bill shows up. Alcohol can make you feel warm while your body loses heat faster. It can blur precision. It can push confidence into places it doesn't belong. In the wrong moment, it turns an already dangerous machine into a sloppy one. That's why militaries tried to control it. Because they wanted the benefit without the chaos, relief without collapse, cohesion without turning the ship into a floating argument. And you can hear how men understood that in the way they spoke when nobody was trying to sound brave for history.
You hear they're pouring early?
They don't pour early. They pour when they think we're about to crack.
My hands can't even feel the rail.
That's why they do it. Not to make you happy, to make you usable.
Does it help?
It helps the way a candle helps in a storm. It doesn't change the storm. It just gives your brain something to hold on to.
Officer says it keeps spirits up.
Spirits up, judgment down. So don't drink like it's a celebration.
What is it then?
A small, controlled haunting. You let the fear step back for a minute, and you pray it doesn't come back louder.
That's the rum ration. A managed compromise, a controlled exhale. And alcohol wasn't only naval. Different armies and theaters had their own drinking cultures. Official issues here, unofficial bottles there, black market liquor everywhere. Humans had time to build a shadow economy. When the world turns into rubble, anything that numbs the nerves becomes valuable. But alcohol only solves one category of war's problems: fear and cold. It doesn't solve the other thing WWII demanded like a sacrifice: wakefulness. This is where coffee and tea stop being drinks and start being resurrection fluid. World War II ran on night operations, endless watches, long marches, schedules built by people who could sleep while other people stayed awake. Convoys needed eyes on the sea. Anti-air guns needed eyes on the sky. Bombers needed crews awake at hours that feel illegal. The human body has limits, but WWII treated limits like suggestions. So caffeine became the cheapest performance enhancer on Earth. Legal, portable, socially accepted, and brutally effective. Here's the simple science behind the magic trick. Your brain builds sleep pressure the longer you're awake. Caffeine blocks the signal. It doesn't refill the tank. It just hides the warning light, and that's why it's dangerous. Because you can feel sharp while your judgment is quietly degrading underneath you. You can feel competent while your reaction time slows. You can feel fine right up until you make a mistake you'd never make rested. And in war, mistakes don't come with refunds. They come with stretchers. They come with a medic's hands turning slick. They come with blood-darkening cloth. That's why coffee mattered so much in American rations and routines. Not because it was gourmet, because it bought hours, because it kept men upright long enough to keep moving. Tea played a similar role for British and Commonwealth forces. Caffeine plus warmth plus ritual. A hot drink wasn't just chemistry. It was a tiny piece of civilization poured into a tin cup. And when supply lines strained, coffee didn't always mean coffee. In places where beans were scarce, substitutes appeared. Roasted grains, chicory, ersatz blends that tasted like disappointment. Sometimes the stimulant punch wasn't there, but the ritual still mattered. Even fake normal can hold a person together for 5 minutes. Because war doesn't only feed bodies, it feeds habits, it feeds routines, it feeds the desperate need to feel human. But caffeine collects interest too. Stack it on fear and cold and grief and you get a particular kind of fragility. Jittery hands, loud heartbeat, a mind that becomes jumpy and sharp in the wrong direction. Like a house where every floorboard creak sounds like a footstep. Then when there's finally a chance to sleep, the body collapses, but the brain keeps patrolling. The war follows you into the quiet. Now we move to the most portable drug of the whole conflict. The one that didn't need heat, didn't need a cup, didn't need permission. Cigarettes. In WWII, cigarettes weren't just common. They were structural. They showed up in rations, they poured in through care packages, and they became currency. Packs and loose cigarettes could buy favors, extra food, information, small mercies. Even non-smokers carried them because a cigarette could open doors rank couldn't. Nicotine hits fast. It can snap attention into place. It can make a stressed body feel steadier for a moment. It gives hands something to do, while the mind tries not to fracture. And cigarettes became ritual. Before a mission, after shelling, during waiting, after the violence, when nobody wants to describe what they saw, and smoke becomes the only thing moving in the silence. Light. Inhale, exhale. A tiny controlled breath in a world that keeps stealing breath. But nicotine isn't kindness. It's conditioning. The brain learns the association quickly. Stress equals smoke equals relief. Remove the smoke and the body starts clawing at you. Irritability, restlessness, that crawling need for the ritual. In combat conditions, that's not just discomfort. That's focus slipping. That's discipline fraying. That's a man whose hands are already cold, now trembling for a different reason. And you can hear the maintenance system in the way men talk when there's a lull, when the battlefield goes quiet enough for the mind to start doing damage.
Got a smoke?
Yeah. Take it. Don't look at it like it's comfort.
What's it supposed to be then?
A lever. You pull it, you get 10 minutes where your hands stop betraying you.
You got coffee too?
A little. It tastes like burnt dirt and regret.
I'll take both.
That's how it starts. Not with joy. With need.
Need keeps you alive.
Need also follows you home.
That's the uncomfortable truth. These things weren't toys, they were tools used to keep people inside controllable limits. Now, the war didn't only use stimulation and numbness, it also used something softer. Comfort rations. The kind of small sweetness that feels like a charm against the darkness. Tea wasn't only caffeine. It was identity, routine. A small return to civilization in a world that had gone feral. Even weak tea could work because the job wasn't purely chemical. The job was psychological. 5 minutes where the chaos stands outside the door. Chocolate was dense fuel with morale baked in. It traveled well, stored well, delivered calories fast. Cold and stress. Burn energy like a furnace with a cracked door. And a sweet, dense ration could be the difference between still thinking and brain fog. Sometimes it was comforting. Sometimes it was engineered to survive heat and last forever. More function than treat. War doesn't care if you enjoy it. War cares if you keep producing output. Zoom out and the whole machine becomes visible. Alcohol to sand down fear and cold. Caffeine to stretch wakefulness. Nicotine to create portable calm and focus. Tea and chocolate to stop morale from collapsing into pure despair. None of this wins wars on its own, but it keeps humans functioning long enough for wars to continue. And here's the creepiest part. Once a system learns it can chemically manage fear and exhaustion, it starts treating people like adjustable equipment. Turn this dial up, turn that dial down, keep the body moving, keep the mind quiet, keep the haunted house standing. Just one more night, but don't confuse working with safe. These substances don't heal the damage. They manage symptoms while the conditions keep tearing the body apart. Alcohol can dull terror but blur judgment. Caffeine can keep you awake but make you confidently wrong. Nicotine can calm you but leash you. Comfort rations can lift morale, but they can't replace safety. And the costs pile up, sometimes immediately. Accidents, mistakes, split-second errors that end in screaming and red snow and hands that can't stop shaking afterward. Sometimes later. Habits that follow men home long after the uniforms are hung up. A body trained to reach for smoke to feel steady. A mind trained to need coffee to feel normal. A nervous system trained to look for a drink when the memories get loud. That's the part the heroic version rarely shows. War doesn't just take years, it rewires people. So if you ever wondered how WWII stood armies kept moving through conditions that should have stopped them, the answer isn't only strategy and industry. It's this hidden maintenance system. Everyday drugs treated like equipment, keeping fear, exhaustion, and morale barely inside controllable limits. And if this is what the soft stuff did, the next question is obvious. What happened when militaries stopped relying on rum and cigarettes and started reaching for chemistry designed to override sleep completely? If you want that next layer, subscribe to WarDose. Hit like so the algorithm knows you want the darker side of history, and comment rum, coffee, or cigarettes. Which one do you think held the line when the body was ready to quit?